Shavua Tov Rabotai, Mishnah Yomi is continuing in the 9th chapter of Terumot at Mishnah Vav. Now, yesterday, Mishnah Dalet, we learned that planting tevel, if someone planted seeds that were tevel, the rabbis did not decree that what comes up is still tevel or truma or any problem. Now, here in Mishnah Vav, we explain a nuance here. Tevel, mixture, untithed produce, gidulav mutarin b'devar shezaro chole. So what grows out of the seeds of tevel, it's mutter. It's treated as regular chulin when those seeds again dissolve upon planting, like wheat or barley seeds. Aval b'davar she'ein zaro kole, something like a bulb, we're going to see that the original item is not gone after planted. Gidule gidulin asurin. Even what grows out of what grows out is still asur. So someone took an onion that was tevel, that was untithed. He put it in the ground, and it grows bigger, even twice as big. He pulls it out, it's still tevel. And then he puts the same exact onion in the ground again somewhere else, planting it a third time, still asur. It's still considered tevel. Which are the species that we are not considered that the seed is gone when you plant it? Kagon haluf. We've seen before in Terumot is some kind of bulb. I think they would eat the flowers also, but the bulb was the main part of it. Veha shum, garlic, habitzolim, and onions. Rabbi Yehuda Omer hashum kisaurim. Now, this is an interesting statement. He says garlic is like barley. There's a machlokes. What does he actually mean? Does he mean that garlic goes away like barley seeds do, that there's zarachola, that you plant them and they go away? That's not really typically the case. Or he could mean that when garlic is the size of a barley seed or larger, then it's considered that it's the same item. But if the garlic is very tiny, it's smaller than a se'ura. We have this concept by pieces of bones. A piece of bone the size of an etzem kise'ura, the size of a barley seed, brings tuma, but less than that does not. So if this piece of garlic is smaller than a barley seed, it might not be considered that it's the original item still, because you understand you plant it and a little bit comes, a little bit goes, and it kind of might be considered to dissolve, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if it's very tiny. Mishnah Zayin, Hamnokesh ima ovikochavim. A Jew is weeding a field of chasiot belonging to a non-Jew. He's been hired by a non-Jew in Eretz Yisrael to deal with chasiot. The chasiot is a category of plants that includes these bulbs, the ein zaro kole. Afal pi sheperotav tevel, even though the non-Jew's produce is considered tevel, it's in Eretz Yisrael, so what they grow is tevel. There's actually a big discussion if we say that the non-Jew has a kinyan in Eretz Yisrael. Obviously, he can legally own the field, but does his ownership of the field remove it from the category of tevel? Ochel mehem arai. So therefore, you could eat them casually. That means you could snack on them while you're working, which is the normal situation that workers in an agricultural setting are allowed by the Torah to have a snack from what they're working with. Shtile truma shenitma. Now, the shtile truma are like young shoots of truma. We've actually saw this word before when we talk about kiloi hakerem, that sometimes there'd be a shoot, a young plant, and they would replant it somewhere else. So, graft it somewhere else. So these shtile truma shenitma, they became tamei, these little plants that they would, things don't get tamei when they're attached to the ground, so he plucked it out of the ground, and then it got tamei, shitolon, and then he replanted them. Taharu milatame. They're tahor from causing tuma. So they don't make other food tuma after this. Vesurin milecho, but you can't eat them because lamaisa, this particular plant, this stalk, did get tamei when it was detached. Until he trims off or prunes off the edible part. So you can imagine a plant that has a stalk and the leaves are edible. And this plant, while it was detached, got tamei, and it's truma, can't be eaten. So he replants it. It starts growing again. He would have to cut off the edible leaves or berries or whatever's edible, and then keep the ikar part of the plant, the stem, the roots, and let that grow again. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad sheyigam v'yishna. He has to prune it and then go back and prune it a second time. So you prune the edible leaves and berries the first time, those were definitely tamei, and then he has to do it a second time and then the third leaves and berries all will be edible from these shoots. It's a similar concept to what we saw when somebody planted seeds of truma, and then the crops that grow out of that were considered truma d'Rabbanan, but then the third generation crops were considered chulin legamre. Shkoyach, Rabos.